All right, here we are with another installment of Duke, the 520xi, getting this ARK 500 front end loader. I did just throw this cylinder on just to check for clearance, and it really looks like I'm going to be fine. If anything, I might have to trim a little bit of clearance here once this cylinder extends. My concern is getting a tube or a hose caught or pinched in there. So if I can tie it to the cylinder or rotate it up and around, I won't be too worried about it, but we'll see. I pulled both of the floorboards off, and it's amazing how heavy and tough they are too. Everything on this thing seems to be pretty heavy duty. But I was able to get the second inward bolt on both uprights, and that's that. My next or last fabrication thing I think I want to do, I do need to address that. There's a big crack right there. And I might just TIG weld it, or I might plate it and patch it. I don't know yet. But I'm thinking about doing some type, oh, that's not pinned in place. Some type of a round tube support brace up here. Just from welding or from whatever the case may be. Now it's stuck. My uprights have separated about 1/4 inch, and that's not unbearable. Obviously, you can see that everything slides into place, but these have to be kind of stretched out just 1/4 inch to make that get into place. And if I were to make a support brace, I believe that'll give a lot of stability this way, and nothing will twist like that when there's a heavy load on it. And just overall rigidity, I think that would help. And then I've got a couple LED light bars, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to throw a light bar on so I can project forward. So that's one more thing I want to work on. And then it's going to be routing hydraulic lines and rebuilding cylinders and getting this hydraulic system working. After that, it's going to be a complete teardown, and I'll finish any of my welds that I need to do, like down there, and the inside of those bumper brackets and underneath, and then clean it all up and paint it and get it protected and shiny so I can get it dirty. So one thing I need to consider while I am building this cross member is the fact that the hood comes back about 4 inches behind this. And then also, so if I were to go across, I'm going to hit. So I need to kind of come up with something where I'm either coming back and across the dash, and if that's the case, then I need to make sure I'm not going to hit my steering wheel if it's ever adjusted this far up. Or I need to make it high enough that it'll clear when I open. So I kind of think I might just see if I can split the difference and come back a little bit, and just play around and see how that goes. But for now, I will just take my measurements, maybe build some wooden models or cardboard, and kind of just play around and see what I like the best. If you haven't checked out my golf cart roll cage series, you might not know about this tool, but this is my hydraulic tubing bender, and I'm going to use this to build that top cross member. So I had to go a little bit past my 45 degrees that I'm planning, and my stroke is 11.5 inches, and once I take the pressure off this bender, it should relax right at 45. All right, I went a little bit past, but I don't think anybody's going to worry about that. So I'm at 46.2 degrees of a bend, and I zeroed at this point. So now I just have to figure out where I can put my next bend and pop it back in the bender and do another 46.2. And there, now we've got a piece of cross tubing. All I've got to do is figure out what my overall width needs to be and just cut a 45 on those tubes, and it should be ready to pop right in. Well, sometimes things just don't go as planned. Thought I was gonna clear. Oh well. I can break those tack welds off and just move up to this area and burn it in, and it'll be just fine. New plan. I cut the back tack welds and then just tunked it with this soft hammer, and now I can clear. So I tack welded it back together. I still have line of sight of all my warning gauges and my temp and fuel, and where's that? Right here. I can still adjust the steering wheel almost the whole travel. So ended up working out really well. There we go. I like that a lot. It's low and sleek, and if I want to mount some lights, I could probably mount some on both sides, or maybe have a bracket that can just unclamp if I need to open the hood. So I got me a toolbox out of the back barn and drilled a few holes in it and drilled and tapped those bars and used some big washers to overcome the big holes in the weights. And those are just the locators from the weights. I just made, I transferred holes for those too. And now I've got a good sturdy toolbox, and also I have incorporated that as the hold down for those weights. So I can stick some D-rings and some chain in there, and whatever else I see fit for operating this. And honestly, I think those taillights work, but they're still visible if I was ever doing night driving for whatever reason. So that's kind of cool. All right, now that I've got some fabrication out of the way for the day, I need to start working on the hydraulic lines for the pump and for the valve and for all the cylinders and whatnot. So this is the old suction line for the GT14, but remember that the PTO on that one is right here, so the pump was nearby. So it was just a short run for that siphon tube from the bottom right to the pump. But now my pump has to run inside the frame underneath to that front mule drive bracket. And so I need to figure out what side of the pump is my siphon and what side of the pump is my pressure. So I marked my rotation that the engine spins, and I'm literally just going to spin that pulley with my thumb over the holes and see if I build any pressure. And hopefully it'll be just enough that I can kind of see which is the inlet, which is the outlet. So I really wasn't able to get anywhere with my thumb over the hole, but I found some soapy bubbles and started spinning and spraying. Check this out. So that's my pressure side right there. Well, here I go, saying my fab's over, and here I go, making changes, making a liar out of me. I cut this piece off. This was the mount for the old valve. It was kind of in the way. I was clamping the valve in place to try to do mock-up, knowing that my clamps were subject to change, so I figured I might as well make a mount. I can do two good solid mounts here, And then I think I'll just do a tab off the bottom of this tube to here. And that should support this just fine. Probably just these two bolts would be just fine, but I might as well incorporate more stuff to weld. So that's my plan for the valve. Like I said, I really like the angle, and it seems like my controls are right up close for my operator seat, and they're still kind of out of the way as far as you know, just travel with the tractor goes. I'd like to keep it as compact as possible. I used a drill bit and just spot checked those holes, and so now I have good centers to drill and tap that 1/2-inch plate, so that way I can bolt that thing down, and then I can finish the tab on this side. I also ran to town today to the farm store and got some hydraulic lines and some fittings that I need. I had to get a little bit creative because my pump and my hydraulic valve and that filter mount are all 3/4 inch fittings, but the farm store's 3/4 inch hoses were enormous, and I'm pretty sure I'll have enough throughput with just running 1/2-inch hoses. One concern that I have is my return is just a 1/4 inch fitting, and so I think I might try to cut that out and then drill it for a 1/2-inch return, so that way I can have no restrictions lower than 1/2 inch. I believe that's going to work really well. And even though I do have that filter, and that'll be the first thing that the fluid goes to on the way to the pump, I really want to take this fitting out and either rinse this out with water or just blow it out real well and fish around with a magnet to get any metal particles from fabbing out of the system. I don't want any contaminants if I can help it. So once I get this mounted, I'm going to do a dry fit on all of the hoses and fittings, and then once that's all done and I have a mount built for that filter, I will take everything apart and clean and finish welding and paint this whole assembly.